Two international champions on the stage, brand new game, highest stakes, as one of them will make it into the top cut after a win here. So let's find out who it's gonna be. Just in case you missed it, Wolfe coming in with hot take, I think, on the meta so far.
Yeah, trying out a few different things. Mamoswine and Toxapex, two Pokemon he's one of the only players in the field using. We've seen a lot of the Toxapex, we haven't seen the Mamoswine at all yet. Alex Underhill yesterday, a key difference on the Garchomp. It's missing Rock Slide, which makes the Charizard on Wolfe's side a lot more comfortable, though still has to worry about Aerodactyl's Rock Slide. Very key that it has Stomping Tantrum. If you can get that boosted, it's a real threat to play a similar role as Basket Legion did a couple of rounds ago.
So it's going to be really important to see which leads end up happening here for game number 1 between Wolfe and Alex. Let's see what they've locked into to get them the key to the success to that top cut. Alex, it's going to be the Aerodactyl and the Sylveon, and for Wolfe, it's the Hydreigon and Charizard.
So immediately Wolfe gets a ton of the offense out on the field. Immediately fire off a Draco Meteor in that slot. You could, but no. Hydreigon too risky in front of Sylveon, going to escape in the back, get Toxapex out on the field.
Great defensive switch in front of this Sylveon and his Aerodactyl, but Aerodactyl is going to take this first turn to Mega Evolve, get a little bit of boost to its speed, and also be able to fire off some really powerful attacks. Charizard going to protect itself, preserving that Mega Evolution for a little bit later, but now Alex gets to go out on the offensive. Tailwind first from this Aerodactyl at speed, great to ensure that it happens, and Sylveon going to throw out a Hyper Voice. Toxapex freshly switching in is going to take a bit of damage here, but now can threaten that Wide Guard on the next turn.
Exactly right. The Wide Guard's so important here when you're facing down two Pokemon whose primary offense is spread moves, finish off Aerodactyl before it can move. But no, for now, Charizard just going to get in the back, keep trying to stay one step ahead of Alex's own pivots.
Incineroar is going to swap in to take that Charizard's place, knowing that this Aerodactyl can't actually go for a Rock Slide because that threat of that Wide Guard from the Toxapex would neutralize it. You're going to see that Dual Wing Beat instead, and a Hyper Beam from the Sylveon. Incineroar has to come in and take both of these attacks like a champ, but it gets felled. A double up into the Incineroar means that Wolfe is going to lose his first Pokemon of this game.
Yeah, a double target that may have actually been threatening a KO on Charizard. If Sylveon in the Tailwind is faster than the Charizard and the Dual Wing Beat and the Hyper Beam is enough damage, then maybe you're trying to just burst past Wide Guard with enough damage for Charizard to move. If you can land a double up, it would be devastating for Wolfe. But Wolfe gets out to the Incineroar and then is going to be able to cycle Charizard back in. Now with Sylveon on a recharge turn and Aerodactyl at -1 attack, making the Dual Wing Beat much less of a threat.
Better. Rock Slide really off the table. It feels like with the threat of that Wide Guard ever present. So let's see what this Charizard is capable of. First things first, it's got a Mega Evolve. Get that Drought set. Get that Sun to help boost up all of its Fire-type attacks. And Toxapex goes for that safe Wide Guard to ensure that this Charizard is successful. When this Tailwind is still going to let Alex use these attacks a little bit faster, we see the Rock Slide fail because of that Wide Guard. And let's see the speed interaction here. Charizard is actually faster than the Sylveon, even though it is in the Tailwind, so it's going to actually have to take this Heat Wave first. Unless we see the recharge turn.
I didn't see when the recharge turn. There's the recharge.
There it is, okay.
Okay, -1 on Aerodactyl. Damage coming into Sylveon. Only now making the first switch, getting Garchomp on the field.
Well, Garchomp would be able to take those Fire-type attacks a little bit better, but I also feel like maybe a little telegraphed that Charizard would want to try to protect itself here. The Rock Slide is going to be good since Toxapex doesn't try to Wide Guard twice, and the Garchomp gets in basically scot-free, unless it gets trapped in with something like Infestation. Garchomp's not the target, though. It's the Aerodactyl, and so Aerodactyl now has to take a little bit of chip at the end.
Aerodactyl will take a little bit of damage and crucially be locked onto the field in this last turn of Tailwind. If you can threaten a KO there, then you won't have to deal with a second Tailwind afterwards. For a Mamoswine a couple turns later, and while you're locked in with Infestation, you can beat it, but no, just a dodge.
It's going to be a dodge of the Dual Wing Beat, as Garchomp was really hoping to be able to follow up that damage with that Dragon Claw. And so Charizard is going to be great in a position to go for this Weather Ball and get some nice damage down into that Garchomp. Toxapex also is going to land at the Toxic, so at the end of this turn, Garchomp is going to be taking more damage, and that's going to be 2 Pokemon that Wolfe has been able to afflict with that Poison status condition, and we're taking more damage every single turn.
Right, you can see Wolfe setting up the end game for Toxapex now. Garchomp gonna have a lot more difficulty actually breaking through Toxapex.
Where Wolf could really just go for a wide guard and attack, and so we are going to see that wide guard first from the Toxapex. Make sure that this Aerodactyl is going to either have to go for another inaccurate move or just use that Tailwind. The Garchomp with the Dragon Claw, we saw it did not do enough for this to be a 2-hit knockout, so it will take a third. As Charizard fires off that Heat Wave in response, Aerodactyl and Garchomp, they're going to be taking the residual damage at the turn from the Infestation and the Poison respectively. Garchomp is barely able to hang on, but the Aerodactyl is out of here.
I think that was actually a really strong turn for Wolfe Glick. That kind of called Alex's bluff a little bit. If that had been Dual Wing V plus Dragon Claw, Charizard would have just gone down. Good damage into both of these Pokemon. And now the damage problem to Toxapex becomes really serious.
Hoping that we see something really spicy on this turn. It's going to be the Toxapex that ends up switching out those that the Hydreigon can come back in. This Garchomp is going to be going down at the end of this turn, but it's also a trade, as Garchomp's not going to go down that easily without taking something with it. Oh, and the Farigiraf uses the Roar to get the Garchomp out of here. I was going to say Roar maybe to get the Toxapex out, but this is even better, the side Roar play to get that Sylveon in front of this Hydreigon.
Well, and the Roar is really clever as well, because you want Garchomp to be able to outspeed and KO the Charizard before it can move, but you don't want Garchomp to go down from Poison at the end of the turn. So this lets you have your cake and eat it too. You get the Dragon Claw off. Yeah, if you can get a Snarl into Farigiraf, really there's no damage against Toxapex, and so yeah, Farigiraf has to be preserved. Garchomp is just going to go down from Poison at the end of this turn after switching in. Snarl is going to take the KO, would have been into the Farigiraf, but Sylveon already looking so low with the Poison damage. It's not going to have any turns on the field.
Gonna have to get a lot of mileage out of this next one. As you see that special attack drop, Sylveon's gotta try to make up for that with a Hyper Beam. It does land into its target. The Hydreigon on the receiving end of this does get hit with a one-hit knockout. Sylveon has taken down one more foe, bringing Wolf down to just this Toxapex. But we have seen Toxapex accomplish some amazing things in a 1v1, a 1v2, and it looks like Sylveon with the Infestation stacked on top of the Poison might go down at the end of this turn.
And well, there it goes down at the end of this turn. It definitely isn't surviving through its recharge turn, but yeah, it does go down here. Forced into the Hyper Beam because of the threat of Wide Guard. You can't just click Hyper Voice and get Wide Guarded on that turn, because then Hydreigon beats you forever in the end of the game. So eventually we get to a 1v1. It's Toxapex versus Farigiraf. A lot of times that's the game plan. You got to beat everything around the Toxapex. Right thing, you have the super effective Twin Beam, but how much damage is it? This is the crucial moment.
Wow, it actually looks like it's going to take two Twin Beams for 4 hits. No, I'll work out the math on that one.
It'll be a 3-hit KO.
Yes, because you are going to get the leftovers recovery at the end of the turn, and Wolf is going to guarantee that with rotating through Toxic, Baneful Bunker, Infestation. Try to get these additional damages to stack up at the end of the turn for residual.
Yeah, it's going to be close. You may need a double protect from Wolf's side. That's just to threaten KOs on something like a Glamora. So this one doing enough damage. I mean, that's pretty significant, 50% to the Toxapex.
But there's still a Citrus Berry that this Farigiraf hasn't consumed yet. It hasn't gone down to that threshold of HP where that Citrus Berry would activate and let this Farigiraf recover. So we're going to have to get through several turns.
Should be enough damage. Yeah, we'll see the second Twin Beam now, most likely the Infestation coming out afterwards. The Toxapex is going to be so low.
Toxapex pulled off an impressive victory in Game 2 versus Kotsukide, able to get 2 Baneful Bunkers back-to-back to secure that game and bring Wolf into a Game 3. Maybe this Toxapex has a couple of extra Baneful Bunker, multiple protects left in it in order to bring Wolf this victory, but Alex feels just a couple of turns away from being able to get this first game.
Yeah, I think if the Twin Beam had needed one more turn, if it had been a 4-hit KO, not a 3-hit KO, the Toxapex would have been able to withstand this. All those damage over time to this end of the game looks like it's going to be enough.
One more Baneful Bunker just to see if you can play to that out. We'll stop this next incoming Twin Beam, and there will be some additional poison damage on top of that Infestation. It's starting to stack up. Len, if this is a double Baneful Bunker, this could be a win for Wolf. Back-to-back Baneful Bunker, and the 30% of the time, it works 100% of the time. Toxapex is going to protect itself from this next Twin Beam, and if this Farigiraf goes down to the Infestation and the Toxic Poison, we're going to go to Game 2 with Wolfe Glick up 1 game. Toxic's going to do it. Infestation at the end, and Farigiraf is sent back to the Pokémon Center.
Oh man, by Garchomp even hit the field, which meant that the Garchomp always had full power Dragon Claws. If you can get Incineroar, a little more value out of Incineroar, it's much easier to play into that end game.
With how close it was in game number 1, I'm expecting this game to be just as electric. As we get back into it, Alex Gomez is going to be leading with the Garchomp and the Aerodactyl, and this time Wolf has the Charizard and Toxapex in the lead.
You don't want to spend too many turns with Toxapex Wide Guard and Rock Slide when you could be taking a lot of damage from Dragon Claw or Stomping Tantrum back.
So is Toxapex actually going to Wide Guard? Because this is the first step of the equation. You've got Incineroar in, that valuable Intimidate onto both Aerodactyl and Garchomp, and we see this Aerodactyl Mega Evolve. Maybe that means this Charizard is once again sitting on the bench here for Alex, but this time around, this Aerodactyl is going out on the offense. It's not setting Tailwind, it's set out that dual Wing Beat in the face of that Incineroar, and the Stomping Tantrum from the Garchomp is going to follow it up, and it goes into the Toxapex instead. Alex splitting the difference on the attacks, knowing that I can't let this Toxapex get to the endgame with a full HP bar. I may as well try to whittle it away now.
I think the other thing to keep in mind, Alex feeling that it was very likely there to be a Wide Guard, so doesn't want to risk Earthquakes and Rock Slides in that position, but also may have thought it was pretty likely that Incineroar was...
Toxapex, if it feels like a great opportunity to get this Toxapex out of there, maybe that's something that Alice can capitalize on, expecting the Toxapex to end up switching out, or even expecting it to protect here to try to get that leftovers recovery. We see the Hydreigon come in to actually take this Incineroar's place as the Rock Slide gets let rip. Alex, not afraid of the Wide Guard in this moment, gets to land some damage onto the fresh Hydreigon. Oh, but the Garchomp goes for the Stomping Tantrum into the Incineroar, that Levitate ability there from the Hydreigon, making it immune.
Right, Hydreigon able to switch in pretty successfully here. Second, Intimidate down as well. So yeah, Aerodactyl doesn't like this position. Going to get off the field, trying to catch a Draco Meteor with Sylveon.
Sylveon, a Fairy type, would be immune to that Dragon type move, as Garchomp is also going to save itself with a Protect Shield. So great call here from Alex. Try to play it safe on this turn, but it does leave this Sylveon vulnerable to the infestation. It can't switch out anymore since the Toxapex was able to land that.
Yeah, this is the way to make sure that Draco Meteor doesn't have any impact, and the way to take advantage of a choice item on the other side. You put a Fairy in one slot, you put a Protect in the other, Draco Meteor does nothing, and now you say, if you want to stay in, you're going to have to click Draco Meteor. Interesting to see if Wolf does commit to just staying in. It does, yeah, so this could be a Hyper Beam for Draco Meteor exchange, or it could be a lot more for Wolf.
But you're going to see this Draco Meteor from the Hydreigon land into the Garchomp, so this is a one-hit knockout. Yes, this Garchomp is out of here, but now the Sylveon said, okay, I got you, my teammate. You're not going to go down in vain. I can throw out a final attack here, but if it's a Hyper Voice, it's going to fail. Hyper Beam, though, from the Sylveon. It's not going after the Hydreigon, it's going after the Toxapex. It's already taken a bit of trip, but look at how healthy that Toxapex sits, even after this Pixelate boosted Hyper Beam from the Sylveon.
So that is a lot of damage, right? Toxapex now looks pretty vulnerable, like you could chase it down, but it's going to get leftovers recovery. You're going to have to spend a turn recharging. It's likely going to get Regenerator previous turns. There's not that much to lose in that position.
It is going to be at -2, though, since the Draco Meteor does have that pretty significant drawback.
Careful here. You don't want it to go down to a Twin Beam too easily, but Hydreigon's going to switch, undo those Draco Meteor drops, get the Charizard out onto the field. Toxapex is going to stay in. Just get Toxic down on Sylveon.
Well, there's definitely still some value to making sure that as many Pokemon as possible are going to be toxic. There's a lot of protects on this team, but looking for Rigorath, going for another side roar, gets Sylveon out of there. Since it had that infestation, it wouldn't be able to move off the field by itself, but that's where your Rigorath partner can help you out with that. Bringing the Mega Aerodactyl back in the face of this Charizard.
Got rewarded for it.
Charizard is going to switch out, so what does this Toxapex end up doing as Hydreigon comes back onto the field with that Choice Scarf. Gets to select a new move if it wants, after it used that Draco Meteor a couple turns ago, and Incineroar is also going to make this just a full field swap for Wolf. Hydreigon takes the dual Wing Beat from this Mega Aerodactyl. It's going to do a lot of damage to this Pokemon on the switch-in, but this Rigorath goes for Thunderbolt 2. Does not want to risk having that Twin Beam fail into either of these Dark-type Pokemon on a switch-in, knowing they were both in the back.
Threatening a Draco Meteor in one slot or the other, you've got to catch it with Sylveon right now. If you're Alex, neither Pokemon could protect, so Wolf knows he can land a Draco Meteor somewhere.
Oh, it's going to be the Dark Pulse. Okay, still, it's going to be a resisted hit into the Sylveon, but you would rather try to get some damage down, knowing that that could be a super effective attack into that Rigorath. Choreograph a little bit later. Parting Shot is going to get this Incineroar back out rotation, and we'll see another Pokemon come in. Wolf gets his choice, get this Charizard back in.
I think Charizard, you can't risk that it's Twin Beam coming into that slot. It is Thunderbolt, though, so Alex catches the Charizard coming in.
Okay, but it's still pretty healthy.
It's not much damage.
No.
That's significant, though. Yeah, so the Thunderbolt, not much damage after the Parting Shot. Looked like a very positive turn for Wolf in between.
We've seen a lot of small chance things happen, but Wolf doesn't want to risk trying to go for a Dark Pulse flinch. It's going to end up being the Toxapex that comes back in, so our Dragon can choose a new move later on, as Charizard, with this paralysis, is hoping to fight through that. Mega Evolving, setting the sun, hoping that it will be able to get through this turn. As Sylveon goes for the Hyper Voice, it's going to chip away at this Charizard and the Toxapex. But I think if there's going to end up being a Thunderbolt into this Charizard, then wow, it's going to be a survival anyway. Toxapex has to take this Twin Beam on the switch in. That's going to do a lot of damage to bring it down to a very much more reasonable Toxapex to deal with. And Charizard fights through that paralysis. A double connect on the Heat Wave. Sylveon's going to end up going down to the poison at the end of this turn, as Fergraph also gets a little recovery back with that Citrus Berry.
Wolf has been slowly grinding out a lead turn after turn. I think even that turn, Alex gets a couple things right. Really important that he catches, that was a Twin Beam into a Dark type to start the turn, but catches a little bit of damage on Toxapex. The Parting Shot from a couple turns ago means there's not that much punish on Toxapex switching in into this time. But yeah, you can get Regenerator, you can get future leftovers, you can get a lot of recovery back in the future. Incineroar loves to just come in here. That's just Intimidate. That's his only job at this point.
Wolf with 4 Pokemon remaining is going to have a much easier time to continue to cycle in and out this Incineroar. He does end up giving up the Charizard in the process, but you've got Fake Out here to help out your Toxapex if it comes back in. Try to get some citrus, I was gonna say try to get like poison down or something like that.
The Fergraph will suppress Fake Out on the next turn. Charizard, though, has done its job. It beat the Sylveon, took that off the field, has weakened the board down to just 2 Pokemon. You've done so much damage mitigation at this point with both an Intimidate on the Aerodactyl and a Parting Shot and the Fergraph. Dragon's going to get its choice of what to deal with. For now, Incineroar, we're going to get out one more time, save one more Intimidate for the future, maybe save one more Regenerator for the future, as Dark Pulse can go into the Fergraph.
It's actually just going to be a clean knockout from the amount of HP that Fergraph has left. And so this Aerodactyl has the world on its shoulders to get Alex into this. Rock Slide comes out. It's not even get the KO onto the Hydreigon. Missing that feels critical. You see the Fist Bump. Alex knows it's over. Wolfe Glick wins Swiss Round 12 2-0 to move on to the top cut of the North America International Championship.
Wolf can just throw a Dark Pulse there on this turn, can get more recovery with Baneful Bunker and threaten the Fake Out in the future. Wolf cleanly winning this game.
Hydreigon throws out that final Dark Pulse to finish off the Aerodactyl, and that is the game, set, match. Wolfe Glick on the verge of moving into this top cut, maybe getting another international championship title, but Alex Gomez not out of this tournament yet. Taking his second loss means he's got to win this next round in order to have that hope himself of making it into that top cut to play for that title.